Hello, everybody. I think there's probably about a 15-second delay, but tell me who's here. Let me know who's here, where you're at. Hi, Anita. Anita, Jean. Hello, Denise. Well, I know where Denise is from. She's from Australia. Anita, shoot, I forget where you're from. Let me know where you're from, Anita. I have a list of I try to keep a list of all the names. Chicago, that's right. I remember Jean from Chicago. Um what else we got here so far? What do we got? We got 13 watchers. Tanya B. Hello, Tanya from Sydney. Oh, good, cool. Is this a good time for y'all down under? I figure about, what is it, 9 o'clock there in the evening. Probably works out pretty good for y'all. I figured take a little time and share some of our. Yeah, I should have known that, Moberg. Sweden. So I thought about, we spend a little time talking about some of, our favorite memories of Elvis, or just have a chat. Anybody that wants to join me on camera or just by audio and share a little story, or just, listen. Um, how'd the winter? Who was around when he passed? Who I know there's people out there. Excuse me, a lot of fans out there that weren't alive at the time, but who have a memory of when he passed? And yeah, I know it's one of those situations when you remember where you were at. I even remember what clothes I was wearing. I'm sorry, I remember where I was at, what clothes I was wearing. I was 19 years old. I was working at Sears. How many of you remember Sears Roebuck? Tanya, you were 13. Yeah, you can. I'm sure you remember it very well too. I remember when John F. Kennedy was killed, and I was 5, but that's because of all the news and repeating over and over and over again. Dennis, you were in 66, so you were what, 11 years old when he passed. So you remember. Yeah, I work. I was just getting ready to get off work, and I was working at Sears. I used to set up all the displays in the stores. I was 19 years old, and I walked in, and my boss walked in. He says, "Well, the news just came across that Elvis had died." He said the look on my face was like just went white. I couldn't believe it. And of course, back then we didn't have cell phones or anything like that. And I wanted to get a hold of my dad. My dad was traveling, and it was a crazy emotional time that during that week. You had just given birth to your son Andreas. Wow. I had just found out the day before that we were going to be having my wife and I. We'd only been married almost a year. I just found out the day before that we were going to have a baby. So we went. I went from high to low. It was crazy. It was a crazy time. Jeans got Denise, Tanya, Denise. Who we all got here? Anybody else we have on? Oh, there's Steve. Hey, Steve, how you doing? So when do you? What do you remember, Steve? Do you remember where you were when you heard the news, or were you? I'm assuming you're old enough. I hope I'm not putting my foot in my mouth. Yeah, they. I had just bought. I just bought the album Moody Blue not long before. I just seen him 6 months. Let's see, 8 months before in Atlanta on December 30th in Atlanta. I saw him in concert. I was really surprised. Denise, show that. Your brother-in-law was an Elvis impersonator at that time over here. Wow. Yeah, I know. I know they were really popular. I remember Elvis impersonators before he passed away. I didn't, somebody said to me, "Why did they start doing that after he passed away?" And I said, "No, they've been doing it for a long time." What else we got on board? We got 9 on board. Show your faces. I can't see. I can't. I don't know how to pronounce that. Oh, from Mexico. Welcome aboard. I don't know how to pronounce that. Is it Mlealo? I couldn't even. I don't even want to try. I would be embarrassed. But thank you for joining us. Were you around when he passed, or have you discovered Elvis as afterwards? 14 people. Very nice. We got people from Sweden. We got people from Australia, Chicago. Might not have too many from the West Coast here. It's 4 o'clock in the morning there. But I'm going to do this again today, this evening, this afternoon. Carolyn, hello, Carolyn loves Elvis forever. Good morning. Beautiful. Oh, thank you for watching it. Yeah. I had put that together. I kind of remixed it from a few years ago and did a little bit differently this year. You were 3 years old, so you probably don't remember, or you may. Some people have some faint memory of stuff like that. So, were your parents big Elvis fans, Carolyn? I know my kids. They like Elvis. I have kids that were born in this century. Yeah, 3 years old would have been. But my son really hit. My son's favorite songs are Johnny Be Good from the Live International, 1969, and Love Suspicious Minds. It's 7:12 p.m. in Perth, Western Australia. Wow. Okay. So you're 12 hours ahead. Now I think Gina is 4. So how many different time zones do you have in Australia? You must have a couple of time zones. Of course, it's a big country, so I can imagine. Perth Western. So you're on the other side there. Hmm. My mom had a pair. Oh wow, really, Gene? Yeah. My dad, who was he was born the same year as Elvis, but he was born at the end of 1935. Of course, he's the one that turned me on to Elvis, and um, but he originally had 2 or maybe 3 of the original Sun records. He was born and raised in Tennessee. My dad, 3 or 4 time zones. Wow, Denise. Wow. So, but before he joined the Marines in 1956, he left all of his stuff at a girlfriend's house when he joined the Marines, and she was going to wait till he came back, and I guess they were going to get married, but he wound up marrying my mom in Hawthorne, Nevada, and they had me, and he never got his Sun records back, which I think that was the thing he missed the most was the Sun records. But my dad was a huge, huge fan. My earliest memory of Elvis, mine is 4 years old. And I know a lot of you have probably heard this story if you've been following me for a while. I was 4 years old. It was 1962. And it was just my dad and I. I have 2 brothers that are a year younger than me each. So one's 1 year and the other one's 2 years younger. They're both pretty much deaf. They have 90% loss of hearing. So back then, they just didn't go to the drive-in movies or the movies unless they were Disney films. They were a little more entertaining, and they didn't have captions and all that stuff back then. So it was just my dad and I. We went to the drive-in theater and saw Follow That Dream, and I can still remember it. I remember sitting there listening to my dad laugh through that movie because that to me actually it's my favorite movie of Elvis's. But I think Elvis had such a great comedic sense in that movie. It was just, I watch it all the time. I've got a copy of the movie poster that I need to get hung in my room, but it is. It's one of my favorite movies. So that's my earliest memory of Elvis, and I had a good fortune of seeing him um, three times. I saw him in Vegas in 1972, all with my dad, my mom and dad, and then the second time I saw him was in Los Angeles at the Forum. It was the very first time he ever wore the peacock jumpsuit, and the whole family went. My brothers loved it because they could feel JD's low notes shaking the floor because we had floor seats. We were about 15, 20 rows back, but you could feel when JD hit those low notes or when Johnny Tutt was pounding those drums. But they're still Elvis fans to this day, and of course they got all the movies now in caption, and so it's entertaining to them. But I'm just going to stick this in the comments. Anybody wants to jump on and say hello, you're welcome to. You don't have to put your face on it. You can click off the video and just say hello. Um, I'm getting lonely here, but I am posting the link right there. So anybody that's interested, just click that link and follow the instructions, and you'll pop up down here, and I'll add you. We can just chat for 2 or 3 minutes. We're all friends. We're all family. Sherilyn, hello. We were just talking on some of the comments. You were commenting. I think you were commenting on one of my videos. How many of you have been watching my reviews of the box set? I know I've seen several of you watch it. My next review is gonna be more fun. Oh, Shep is my first memory of Elvis. Oh, let me put this on the screen so everybody can read it. So, Old Shep is my first memory of Elvis. I was just a little girl. My mother played it for me, and I cried. I still cry when I hear that. Yeah, it reminds me of Old Yeller. If any of you remember that Disney movie. Yeah, Sherilyn. Yeah, any day now. I kind of hit that one a little hard, but there's a couple of songs on. I'm doing 6 more songs today. I was gonna wait till tomorrow, but I got so excited about what I heard on a couple of these songs. I'm going to try to finish it today and get it put out by the end of the day. It's got some more from those American Sound sessions. I won't say anything, but there's a few little surprises that just baffle me. The more I discover, the more I just. Here we go, Carol. Carol, where are you from? Well, I must be lucky. You said Radio Luxembourg. So I was 18. I was in my bedroom listening to Radio Luxembourg when Tony Prince announced his death. Elvis was then played the rest of the night. That is when I discovered Elvis. Oh, from the UK. Hmm. Yeah, you were 18. So you were just a year younger than I was. Yeah, that I tell you what, I cried. I literally cried, my wife who wasn't really that big of a fan couldn't understand why I was crying. I just like you don't get it. Unless you're a fan of Elvis, you just don't get it. Sherilyn, let me see. What'd you say? Uh, did you know that there's a bootleg out there of some of the American sessions that have no reverb? Yes, I do. I have that bootleg. I do. I have the all the over all the I have all the outtakes from all the sessions, all the overdubs, all the remixes. Um, I'm a big media collector, and I collect as much as I can, and I have that. Um, I should kind of do a review of those. American Sound sessions are my favorite sessions of all his sessions. They were the best. I separate Sun Sessions from all the other sessions because Sun Sessions were the ones that created him, even though they're all in mono. But of course, all of his songs were in mono up to 1960. But American Sound, best sessions ever. I wish I could have been there. Sherilyn, I remember coming over ticker tape fashion. Wow, TV that he died and was going nuts waiting for the news. Yeah, I did the same thing. I think I was just getting ready to get off work. It was around 3:30 when I heard the news. I lived right next to where I worked, and I actually ran home because I usually walk to work. I ran home, ran in, and turned on the TV. Of course, we didn't have 24-hour news there, so I had to wait till 6 o'clock news for anything to come on. So I flipped on the radio, and they was talking about it. They're playing Elvis songs. Sherilyn, I'm the same thing. I used to collect so much stuff, and I've lost stuff through floods and damages, and I don't really collect much anymore because, well, actually, any of the new stuff is really not going to be worth anything in the future because they inundate the market with so much of it. I don't remember this awful day, but with the years, this death has affected me. Let me put this up so everybody can read. I don't remember this awful day, but it's the years, this death has affected me horribly. I've been a fan since I had 2 years and a half. Yeah. Oh, I like your little picture you got up there. I can see it better now. Yeah, it's every year. It's just still, it's, there's nobody ever, no entertainer, nobody like that has had such a, well, obviously if you're Christian, if you're religious, but even with that, there's so many different religions. But with Elvis, how many outside of Jesus, how many people can be known instantly just by saying their first name? I can't think of anybody else. I mean, even if you say Prince, you're going to say Prince. Prince of who? Prince of, Prince Charles, Prince. But with Elvis, you're going to say, oh, Elvis Presley. Yeah. Like my Elvis mug. It's really cool. Yeah, it took me a while to really get my head back on straight. Everyone Everyone thinks I loved Elvis since I was a wee child, but he was banned from our house until I was really. Wow, why was that? I mean, wait, you. Well, I don't want to ask you how old you are. I think you told me earlier when. Did you say earlier how old you were when he passed? I don't. Maybe you weren't. I don't want to. I don't like asking people how old they are. Oh, they're right. So you've been around since. I would say, were you, Sherilyn? Were you around when he was in the 50s? I love talking to people that were here in the 50s. I loved my dad telling me the stories, and people that had the experience that 2 LP. Well, that's a song to always remember. It's now or never. That right there showed what kind of voice he had. It's now or never. Let's see. Sherilyn said, and my dad only allowed him because he was making those horrible movies and he thought his career was over. Yeah, I don't mean to laugh at that, but it is. See, well, remember the 50s? He was disgusting. Yeah, that's what my dad used to say. He said they would. I grew up with Elvis. I grew up knowing Elvis as a movie star more than I did as a rock star because I was born in '58. So obviously my experience with Elvis was in the movies, but and of course back then you didn't have internet, you had TV with only 3 stations, so you never really got to see any of those 50s clips. Every once in a while you might get to see a little clip from Ed Sullivan or something like that. So, and we didn't have VHS, we didn't have anything like that growing up. So It wasn't until 1968 when they came out with the TV special. My dad was like really excited because he saw the TV guide and he saw this is going to be something different. And we sat there and watched it. And I walked out of that room just like, oh my God. I was 10 years old. And now I understood why my dad was so fascinated with Elvis. That turned me. It was like almost like, oh my God. And then I grew up in Los Angeles. So the summer, the spring and summer of 1969, all the billboards around, because I had out of LA, the highway went straight to Las Vegas. It's about a 4 or 5 hour drive. And all the highways, whenever you take that highway to go anywhere local, billboards, Elvis coming to International Hotel. And I kept asking my dad, can we go? Can we go? Can we go? And he said, we're not going to, well, my mom didn't really want us to go until they went and saw him because they want to make sure it was going to be appropriate for an 11-year-old boy, which, I understand, not so much because of Elvis, but because of the response from the audience. But it wasn't until 1972 until they finally went and saw him in February, and they came back and they never told me that they had reserved seats for August of 72. Yeah, see, yeah, Shirley, and that's the same thing I was just telling you. That's that was the breaking point for me. And I played guitar since I was 7, and it was just like I know what I want to be. I want to be a guitarist. I never really had the dream of being a rock star, but I always wanted to be a musician. And I was able to. I got to live a career with music. And but anyway, so we had my dad and had made reservations for August 24th, 1972 at the whole Hilton. It was then, and they didn't tell me because they know I would go bananas waiting to go. It was during the summer, and they just knew I would just that's all I'd talk about. I wouldn't sleep. So a friend of mine and I went out and got tickets to go see Neil Diamond at the Greek Theater for that same night. And my dad didn't say anything for a little bit. So finally, a week before, my dad said, "You're going to have to sell those tickets to Neil Diamond." And I said, "Why?" I thought, "What did I do wrong?" He says, "Well, because you're going to see Elvis that night in the Hilton." I, I ran to that phone. Of course, back then it was dial phone. It may have been touched by then, but I don't know. It was dial. Anyways, I went to call my friend. I said, "Dude, you got to sell the ticket. I ain't going." Well, long story short, that concert, Neil Diamond, was the concert that they recorded for Hot August Night. So I got to see Elvis. I missed out on being in the audience and for Neil Diamond Hot August Night, but I don't care. I got to see Elvis. It was really cool. So that's kind of a my some of my experience. Carol from New York. Hello, Carol. I need to catch up. Me and Elvis since '54. Wow, very cool. So you remember this? You remember the Sundays, Sun session? That's all right, Mom, and all that coming out. Wow, God, I would love to have been there. During those, I would just. Don't you wish we had a time machine just to be able to go back and see experience some of this? See him in concert, Louisiana Hayride. Oh, Tanya B. What just even as a kid, those movies on TV made me a fan. I loved those movies. I don't care what anybody says. There's a couple that I'm really not that real fond of, but I still watch them because I'm not fond of them because of Elvis. I'm not fond of them because maybe just the storyline, or it may be just there were a couple female co-stars that I really was not a fan of. I didn't really like the girl in Double Trouble, and I was not a Nancy Sinatra fan. Didn't think she was very good in that movie, but I love the movie. Hey, Sherilyn, still have a wow. Well, I have here. And I got to finish going through them. Is when my dad passed away. He passed away in 2010, and then my mom passed away a year and a half ago. And so I got all his records, which some of them were doubles of what I had since when I left home. So I've got some of the albums all the way, back to um I don't know if I can get this. Hold on. This is the one my father bought me right after we went to go see Follow That Dream. And I just got it back a year ago. And it's still, my dad kept everything in mint condition. The case is a little separating, and it doesn't have the inner sleeve, but the record is still in really, really good condition. And my dad in fact, he used to make me wear cotton gloves to touch any of this stuff. So I got in the habit of doing that. Anita, I'm with you. I love the movies. I have them all in digital. I watch them every once in a while. Yeah, me too, Sherilyn. I collect a lot. Everything I can get, any chance I can get. So, um, still have a stash, Sherilyn. Harris Cameron. Yeah, those aren't two of my favorites either, Sherilyn. But every once in a while I'll pull out Hair and Scare because that fight scene is just great. It's like the fight scene in what's that one really long fight scene? Is it in Live a Little, Love a Little? There's one fight scene that just keeps go. Oh, Stay Away Joe. That's the one I'm thinking about, where they just keep fighting and fighting. That's not the greatest storyline, but that's the one of the funniest fight scenes that I've ever seen. Yeah, that's cool, knowing him before he even hit it big. Getting to see him live on TV. Carol, here we go. We never had Elvis on in the house when I was growing up, and I had only seen pictures of Elvis. I asked my mom recently why I know Elvis. She said we had our own Elvis, Cliff Richard. I don't know really much about Cliff Richard. I've heard about him, and everybody seems to say that, you know, I should check him out. I don't know. I really don't know anything about him. I have the box set 7 LPs from the box set 7 LPs. I don't know which one that is. I have the box set 7 LPs from '77. I know that they released the one 8 box. Was it 8 or 10? 8 albums in 1980, the 25th anniversary. I have that right here. That's when they released for the very first time that "Are You Lonesome Tonight" laughing version. That's the first time we ever heard it, 1980. Um, I would my dad my dad would have divorced my mom if my mom banned Elvis from the house. I really think she would. Gene, I agree with you. Flaming Star is one of his best acting movies. It's a great movie. That Wild in the Country, the first four movie. If I was to say the I can't not pick a movie bad because of his acting. I pick it bad because of something else in the movie. But Follow That Dream, that court scene, his acting in that, and of course his comedy in it is just hilarious. Um, what other great, While in the Country, Stay Away Joe, King Creole. He just even in the very first one, when he was green with he seemed to be good in that one, and all the stars that star with him, they all. I have checked out Shakin' Stevens, Sherilyn. I have actually somewhere. I may still have them in my record collection. I have an album of his, and it's something, and I think it has something to do with Elvis. He played in the Cirque du Soleil. Yeah, he's not bad. A Date with Elvis. That's a good album. Hmm. Well, I'm I'm glad to see so many people on on today with me. It's really nice. Um, I Now I'm going to I'm starting something new here after the after Elvis week and probably closer to the end of the month. I'm going to be doing a what I want to do, and actually I've got a couple of Elvis fans from Australia that's going to be my first guests. I don't want to mention their names because I like to be a surprise. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on Sundays. I'm going to have in the morning and in the evening, so I can cover people because I want to. I can do anything anytime I want. I'm retired. I'm disabled, so this is pretty much my hobby. This and recording music, and so I'm going to start a morning's coffee with Elvis, and we're going to interview an Elvis fan from around the world. They could tell their story, and we're going to do it live on screen. So they'll be here on the screen. They may not have their. Some people don't want to put their face on there, but it's going to be a live chat. It'll be a 10 or 15 minute live stream. It may go longer, depends on who interact. So just to let you all know out there that if you want to come on and just tell us your little Elvis story and introduce yourself, I think it's a cool way for Elvis fans to meet other Elvis fans from around the world, no matter where they're at. And so we're going to start with a couple of people who are already interested in doing it. So if you all are interested in doing that, you should you should email me. Oh, Elvis at no, all Elvis A2Z at gmail.com. I'm putting this in the comments. Write it down and just send me an email. If I didn't type the, I have a hard time seeing really small letters. What you can do is you can go to my page, YouTube page, on the about, and it'll give you my email address. Oh, Helene, hello. Nice to see you. Nice to see you join us. Yeah, I just thought, I've been thinking about it because I'm enjoying doing these live streams with everything else. And I thought it'd be cool for I enjoy meeting other I've come to have friends around the world that are Elvis fans, so we have a connection, and it's been really cool. Like you and I've connected through through a few things from the beautiful cards you gave me, and then we've connected. I've connected with Harold. I mean, just a lot of people. I start naming names, I'm going to forget names, and someone's going to get mad at me. But I think it'd be cool for everybody else to hear the stories of other people. And if other people start hearing, say, "Hey, man, I got a cool story," and I might wind up with a list where it's going to be a standing room only list. But anyway, it's fun. Sue, hello, Sue. I was just telling them about my plans for a new stream that I'm going to do on Sundays. It's going to be called like Morning Coffee with Elvis fans. And then I'm going to do one in the evening called Evening Tea with Elvis fans or something like that. And I want to interview Elvis fans from around the world. And they can tell they'll Elvis stories. I'm going to start. Already got a couple people lined up. So anybody that wants to do that, just email me. I put it in the comments here, or get the email from my channel. Carol, I missed that. I'm trying to catch back up on these cards. Believe me, Cliff is the poor man's version of Elvis, and his voice is not even Elvis on a very bad day. Did Elvis ever have a bad day? The only time I think Elvis had a bad day, and I shouldn't say it like this because I don't want it to sound bad, but 47 years ago today would be the only day I think he would have had a bad day. And but no, I don't think he ever did. I don't. I think one time out of all I've ever listened to, I've ever heard him hit a bad note, and um, it was just in the studio when he was recording some of those session takes. So you kind of expect that. Oh, I love that. How many people have this collect the sessions, the FTD session takes? I love those because I love the chatter. And I tell you, I am a big proponent for headphones because when you listen to those sessions and him chattering in between and laughing and joking, you can hear him just before he starts to sing, take that deep breath in, or you can hear the ice in the glass that he has when he's getting ready. It's just I close my eyes and I just listen to him, and I honestly feel like I'm there in the room with him. I absolutely love all the session takes. The American Sound ones are just great. Jailhouse Denise, yeah, Jailhouse Rock. Jailhouse Rock had a great soundtrack. Jailhouse Rock, Loving You, King Creole. King Creole is probably my favorite full soundtrack movie. I mean, every song, New Orleans, Don't Ask Me Why, and then of course in Jailhouse Rock, ending with Young and Beautiful. I just that brings tears. Let's see, Helene from Paris. As a baby fan, 2 year only fandom, who didn't grow up with Elvis at all? I'm so in awe of all your experiences. Elvis experience can have different shape. Isn't that the truth? You know, when you think about, I think about the people I've met since I started doing this 3 years ago through this channel. They're of all walks, all colors, all everything. I mean, how I can't think of any other artists that would have that broad of a fandom where they every young, old, every age, even today, kids today discovering Elvis, a lot to do with the movie coming out. There was that period of time when Elvis just was just a fat man in Vegas singing at a wedding chapel with a lot of the young kids, or he was just a joke until that movie come out, and then YouTube started doing reactions, and I think he's discovered. There's a lot of fake reactions out there, but there's a lot of really good reactors out there that August 14th, 1950 is probably pretty bad, though. Yeah, you know what, Helene? You're right. You're right. That's the day his mother died, and that was probably his worst day in his life. I think I don't think he ever got over it. I really don't. You think about how he would have been if she had lived. What the just how his career would have gone. I think there would have been a lot of changes. I know she hated Parker, and a lot of people, I have mixed feelings about Parker myself. I give Parker a lot of credit. He made some great things, but he really did some really stupid things too that affected him. I think the locking him into the movie contracts was the worst thing he did. But then, there's a couple things that, of course, at the beginning, he created a superstar in the 50s. Nobody nobody treated a star the way that Parker did, as far as making him almost untouchable. So I give him brilliance on that. And then some of the deals he made, the publishing rights deal that he did, even though some of the artists didn't agree with it, it was brilliant because they're still making money off of those publishing rights today. And a lot of singers out there who were never really were big stars, they had or the writers out there, their songs made more money giving him 50% than they would have made giving somebody else 20 or 30%. So it was a that was a brilliant deal creating those publishing contracts. Helene, what stacks? The sound of Ice Cubes. Yes, those are some great takes. Um, some of the you listen to some of the movie outtakes. There, dropped my knife back there. Some of the outtakes in the movies where you could tell he's just fed up with the songs. He just starts laughing. Um, I did a video on one. I can't think of the name of it right now, but he just gets to laughing and he can't get the song done. Let's see, Anita from Sweden, my favorite movie all time. That's my second. I Follow That Dream's my first, just because of the connection it has with me and my father. But King Creole was my dad's favorite, and it's my favorite, second favorite. Um, and then I got Wild in the Country and Stay Away Joe. I mean, Flaming Star, and I thought Charles was a good movie. It's a shame they changed up the script and everything, but it was nice to see him in a movie where he didn't sing, and he looked pretty damn good as a cowboy with a beard. Sherry Lynn, did you know that on the record for the song "You're So Square" that it was Elvis playing the drums because DJ was at the dentist? So guitar, piano, and drums. Actually, I think he also played the bass run at the beginning. Boom, 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 boom. At least he did it in a couple of takes, but yeah. I got a little bit of trivia for y'all. You know the video for "Baby You're So Square"? Elvis is standing there in front of the band and they're playing. I want you to see something that's kind of a filming error. So when they're close up on Elvis, they got Scotty Moore and DJ and Bill Black playing there, and Scotty's playing his guitar. When they do the long away shots from on the other side of the pool, Scotty's wearing sunglasses. But when they zoom in, the sunglasses are gone. Then they go back and he's got sunglasses. Just a little. I like catching those little things. Um, Carolyn, I'm trying to catch up. I get to chatting. Tell me to shut up if I'm talking too much. That is what made me investigating becoming a massive fan. Yeah, my son is a fan now since Bowser's movie. Yeah, my son who's in the Marines, he went out and saw it with a bunch of his friends out in Seattle, and he called. He didn't call me. Most times I just message him. He messaged me and told me he'd gone to see it, and he loved it. It just kind of gave him a different appreciation. My son loves the album, which I do too. Elvis Live at the International Hotel in 1969. He used to love Johnny Be Good, the best, and then Suspicious Minds. Oh man, I am so far behind on. You might let's see, Sherilyn. You might want to watch the your YouTube versions of Sam Bell, who grew up with that. Those are really good interviews. Those are really good interviews. Yes, Sherilyn, you're right. Check those out. Check out Sam Bell. He's a black guy that grew up with Elvis. Really good. Really good. Be cool, Sherilyn. It just happened. Naturally. So cool. Yeah, yeah, it is. I just bought '68 comeback Elvis Presley, and it's fantastic. Yeah, that special is. If you ever get a chance, I know it's probably a little expensive, but they have the box set. '68's got all the outtakes, everything from both stand-up shows, both sit-down shows, the outtakes, and the rehearsals inside in the studio where they're just jamming around. I like the one he sings, "I'll Be Back." Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, GI Blues was his first one coming back from the army. Yeah, that was a good interview. Yeah, Sherilyn, that was a good interview with Boz and Sam. And I think Sam passed away just before the movie come out. Am I right? Let me know. I think he did, didn't he? Yeah. It's sad because it would have been it would have been interesting for him to see that. No one's hogging the room. They all pop up. Everybody, that's why I'm just trying to go back and catch, because part of the problem is I hog the time talking. Um, but hopefully, once I do more of these, I'll get a few people just to want to pop in. Like I said, you don't have to do it on video. You can just come in and do it on audio. Just click on audio only, and we could chat, just share a memory. But so did some of you get to see my little premiere, my little tribute movie video? I did. the many faces of Elvis through the film. 3 years ago today was when I did my very first video for this channel. It was for an Elvis. It was in memory of Elvis passing. I get older and I have a harder time pronouncing words. So I'm working on. Yeah, I thought so. I thought he passed away just before the movie. It was sad too because the girl that played Big Mama Thornton passed away just before the movie too. Yeah, you know what? That's a good point, Anita. He was so good at singing the blues. It would have been cool to have a blues album, a true blues album. I gotta buy cough drops, throat lozenges, or something. It would have been cool. I love like a baby. Of course, reconsider baby. He does a couple blues, and is it Frankie and Johnny when he sings with that one kid? I think that's Frankie and Johnny. Um, that little blues song. He does kind of a bluesy song. All I needed was the rain. Um, and he covers a couple other blues songs. Would have been cool. Yeah, I'd love to heard it just an acoustic type set with him. You know, he's the first person to do the. How many of y'all remember MTV's Unplugged? I think he was the first one to do that in '68. Unplugged. Oh, they were kind of plugged up. They're always plugged up a little bit, but all sitting around jamming. Those are great things. We have some good people. So they got another sessions FTD that's coming out today. Actually, it gets released today. It's the 67 68 sessions Guitar Man, and that ought to be pretty good. The sessions albums are the ones I really like. Yeah, you're right. That was kind of, I look at it being kind of a downfall for Elvis of being the first, in the aspect of being the first big rock star and being the one that set all the rules and learning along the way. He didn't have anybody to learn from of what was right, especially like with management or anything like that. But you know, you're right, first in everything. He was the highest paid actor for a long time during the '60s, even with those movies. He kept a lot of studios alive. That's why they kept doing the movies. Oh, hello, Dylan. Dylan is in the house. Rock and roll. Yeah, I know Dylan will pop in for a minute. I think I'll put it here anyways. If you do, you. No, we've been. I can't believe we've been on for 50 minutes already. Um, Dylan's my younger brother from another mother. He's dinner. I just woke up. Yeah, I know. Dinner. It's only 12. Oh, you guys call it dinner there. It's supper in the evening, isn't it? How? Oh, yeah. Yeah, there you go, Ellie. That's just what I was. you, you beat me to it. All right. So I am adding Dylan here to the scene. Hello, Dylan.
Hello,
How you doing?
I'm doing well. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Can you see me?
Unfortunately, yes. No, I'm just kidding. Um, Sherilyn, I remember the big hoopla for Elizabeth Taylor getting $1 million to play Clear Me. I know. Yeah, and Elvis
Yeah.
got that per movie. So, what's your? We've been talking about our memories. First time you discovered Elvis.
Oh,
Okay, you can't. It can't be that long ago. You're only 22 years old, dude. Am I
what?
right? 22,
21.
21. Yeah. Oh,
But still,
even 21.
It's still like what, 18 years?
21 years to me seems like yesterday.
Yeah. That's the way it is. Was the first time.
Yeah, Helene, can you imagine that them Brits have tea for
Tea,
dinner?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember I was over in Europe for 6 months. When it kind of wound up. It was supposed to be 3 weeks, and it wound up 6 months.
Yeah.
Well, I had gotten divorced, and a buddy of mine who was pretty well off decided we were going to celebrate and go to Europe
Yeah.
for 3 weeks. And we stayed, and we kept staying, and we kept staying, and we just went all over. He bought two motorcycles, and we just drove all over the place.
Mm.
It was cool.
Alright.
We had a fun. So,
So you
so your
asked
earliest
me
memory?
earliest memory. Was that the way it is? Probably. Yeah. Yeah, that's the way it is. Was the first one.
Yeah,
I was 3 at the time.
you were 3.
Yeah. So it would
You,
have been 2006.
yeah,
It would have been, yeah.
yeah.
And then
What was the what was it that impressed you about the movie
it.
or him?
Alright.
Well,
Well.
it's
Alright.
kind of a
Well. I
dumb
say it.
question, but
I say this. I say this every single time. What impressed me the most was how he could change outfits in like 2 seconds. But don't forget, this is before I could learn how to read. So I didn't know that it was filmed over like 6 shows.
oh yeah,
So so I just thought it was like just one
he was a
show.
quick change artist,
Yeah.
right?
so so I'm like, not only can he sing, he can change outfits in like 10 seconds. Amazing. So I was like, yep, alright, I'm hooked.
Hey, Lean, this guy was 3 in 2006. Scandal. That's
And that's
funny.
like, no, see, I don't know why, but everywhere I go, I'm always the baby, and it's like I'm just waiting for someone who's younger than me just to like come into like one of these things, because it's like I'm happy to be young, but at the same time, it's like, why can't like a 15-year-old come in and just be like, hey, I'm the youngest, and I'll be like, oh, finally someone who's not.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, it's nice to see a younger generation. I'm 66 years old, so I'm well, yeah, 3 times your age.
mm,
But the thing about there is no age
there is
in,
no age
when it comes to
for
Elvis.
Elvis. Yeah,
Everybody he just we were talking about that earlier. That
and people my age, like
eh,
I
well,
thought
we were
this.
talking about it being generation, ethnicity. No matter where you're from, there is no barrier.
No,
It's the only I can't think of anything in the world that's like that except for
no,
maybe food.
and music.
Everybody likes food.
Yeah,
Everybody likes Elvis.
but you was my age when like Elvis was in his kind of not twilight years, but like when he was in like the
I
later
was your
part.
age.
Yeah.
Elvis was dead when I was your age.
Yeah.
He died when I
Well,
was he. I'm just I said I was 19, so he
yeah.
was when he passed away. So I know what you're saying.
But yeah, yeah.
I saw him at towards
You saw him
you know
like towards like the end of his run
I
when he
got
was like
more
kind of coming up.
into him from '68 on, but I was a big fan during the movie years. I was a fan of the movie star,
Yeah.
and I loved the music. I remember always singing "Your time hasn't come
Oh,
yet,
yeah,
baby."
baby. Yeah.
Or why the riding the rain
Right,
pocket full of
Rainbow.
rainbows.
I thought, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, pocket full of rainbows. But I remember I walked around singing that song all the time from Speedway. I just thought it was a cool song. I still think it's a cool song.
Which one? Just have I think
Your
on it.
time hasn't come yet, baby.
That,
It's the rhythm, it's the beat. It's just it's one of those little
yeah.
cutesy songs. Gotta turn that off. Rate my
Desert
meter.
Serenade was
Yeah.
another
Hmm.
kind of song like that. Desert Serenade from Parents Karen. That was another kind of
Yeah.
cute little song.
Yeah. There was some really good songs, and was the one that they did they did the remake. Stevie Nicks did the
Yeah,
remix.
yeah.
I love the
The
remix the way they did.
oh yeah, what's it
Chris,
called?
was it Chris Isaac and her? Was it Chris
Yeah,
Isaac
yeah.
that did it? God,
Yeah, because I was
what
Stevie
was that?
Nicks. It's from Having at the World Fair.
Sherilyn says, "No, he sang that song to me." Yeah, that's you're right. What'd you say? What was the song?
Um, I
He's
know the
because
movie
in the
is from.
movie he's singing it to the little
Yeah.
Oriental girl, and
Um,
but oh man,
yeah.
it's one of the many fascinating points. The age diversity of the audience. I'm pretty sure young folks today can relate to 21. Yeah,
Cotton Candyland. Cotton
hmm?
Candyland. That's it.
What
Cotton
is it?
Candyland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Helene, when I went to go see Elvis and when we got to see him in Vegas, it was just a business. It was really kind of a business crowd. Only 2,200 people. It was kind of a cool experience. But when we saw him at the Forum, actually, let me go to Atlanta because that was a little bit more of a diverse city. Saw him in '76, December 30th. And when I went to go stand in line for tickets, I stood for 2 days
Yeah.
for tickets to go see him at the Omni. And in that line was Hispanics, blacks, whites, 60-year-old people, 15-year-old, it was
Mm.
all over the group. And we all
All
sat
ages.
there and I was like the 30th person in line. And all of us just this was close to fall time, so it was starting to get cool here.
Yeah.
And we sat out there. We built, the security let us build a little pile fire, the trash
Mm.
can and all that to keep us warm because we all had sleeping bags to sleep out. And we're all, all around it. And, it looked like the United Nations together, and we all talked about Elvis.
Yeah. But I
That.
mean, like
What
that
other
doesn't happen.
connection can you have?
Yeah. But that, that shows as well, between my generation and your generation, that doesn't happen anymore. Where people line up to get tickets.
Oh,
You
if
have to
people understood what, I stood in line for it was about 2.5 days for Elvis. I stood in line. Everybody knows that I'm into music. I love all kinds of
Yeah.
music. I
Yeah.
grew up. I still think I grew up in I say this all the time, but I grew up in the best generation for my type of music in the '60s.
Mm.
With rock and roll and all that. So I went to a lot of concerts. One concert I went to, I stood 4 days in line for to get tickets for
4 days.
Bruce Springsteen.
You stood in line for Springsteen for 4 days.
4 days, and I did. I didn't do it just for me. I did it because of the girl I was seeing at the time, and she wanted tickets. I wasn't a huge fan. I was a fan of the album, but we got the tickets, got great seats. The concert was like 4 hours long, and by the second hour, I was ready to leave.
I
But
was just gonna say, was he still doing 4 hour concerts back then? Or was it just
that's
a
when he
mini?
was doing them. Yeah, during that
Yeah.
period of time, it was the Born in the USA tour.
God.
Yeah, now you just
Just go online.
you go
Yeah.
online, click, 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 and you got your tickets. You pick what one you want, and it's just so much easier. Those were the days standing in line. I can't tell you how John Mellencamp.
Yeah.
The first few shows, before they started to do the online tickets, I seen him like 6 or 7 times, and the first 3 or 4 times I had to go stand in line for tickets, and I'd wait, and it'd be an overnighter. By then, it was this overnighters.
Yeah. But Elvis was worth it though.
Well, I can imagine what your questions are, and usually they had porta potties nearby, and we would have food runs and coffee runs. Everybody was just was comrades. Everybody worked with each other. Some people get in fights and all that, but you got out of line and all that, but everybody would defend them. That was back in the day when people got it seemed like they got a little more.
Let's see. Remember?
Nowadays, you look at somebody wrong and they'll slap you.
Yeah. We got one that says, remember in the Elvis movie where he fell? Yeah.
Bill
That was
Nick
in
telling him he had to
what,
sing that night.
73?
That was one of the 3 heart attacks he had, and once was in '75, just before. Yeah,
That was
Helene, thanks for answering. I feel better. Yeah, it's a good question because that's what I
that
thought
is a good
about.
question to be fair.
Thought about because the first time I ever stood that long, and in line for tickets was for Elvis. You know, you could get tickets wherever you went. I went down to the Omni to stand in line, but you always had to stand in line, and they had different ticket outlets where you could go and stand in line. But I always went down there because it was easy. You know, people were friendly with each other.
Yeah.
You know, but that were young, and then you get. I know some of you all remember this if you're my age. When you get to the concert and you're waiting and waiting, and somebody throws out a big old huge beach ball, and they start bouncing
Bounce.
around, and they're going all the way around, and you got the security guards running around trying to catch it because they think somebody's going to get their eye poked out by a big old huge beach ball, you know,
Yeah.
and it'd be hilarious because everybody be trying to keep it from you know, those were the days.
Do you know what I was thinking about earlier though? Is that had Elvis not passed away,
What's that?
like today, he would have been getting ready to go on stage in what, like 5 hours or so, because he was going to be on stage somewhere.
Oh yeah, yeah. In '77, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It would have been. Yeah, no, the show was.
because the
He
show would
died
have
on the
been.
16th.
Yeah.
The show was going to be on the 17th or 18th, wasn't it?
Ah,
Wasn't the same day. He did the show. The
I thought
first
it was the
show
same
was,
day.
you know, the first show was on the 16th. He was getting ready to leave on the 16th, I believe.
Yeah,
But I think the
yeah,
first
that's
show
right. And then
was
the
like
show
the
was on the.
17th or 18th.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But you're right. You know, yeah, he was getting ready to do the next tour. Sure,
It is
Lynn.
crazy, like how many people like tickets.
What he didn't know is that he had bone. Yeah, you know, if you haven't read Sally Hodell's book, you need to read it. It's really a very good book.
Mm.
It talks about it. Um, you know, you know, Destined to Die Young. It's sad. It's hard to read, but it's, you know, she did an excellent. I personally think she did her homework. You know, some people, you know, they of
Some
course
people
they,
don't do their own work when it comes to books
but
like
you
that.
know,
But
but I loved it. And then her book Destined to Fly is really good too. And she's got a new one come out supposedly about his philanthropy.
philanthropy, I don't know,
I I need another drink of coffee.
about his charity stuff.
Like my Elvis mug.
Nice.
Cool guitar handle. You know, watch me drop it and break it.
Don't be doing that.
Well, you know what, guys? I've been having fun with this. Anita, Sherilyn, Anita, I was working on a ride at the CNE and watched two of Bruce's concerts. I was able to see 2/3 of the stage. Hmm.
That's a good.
I don't know what
That's
the
a good.
CNE is.
Is it the national, the Cincinnati National something maybe? Cincinnati, I don't know.
I don't know.
Charleston maybe.
Sherilyn will let us know in a second. Thanks, Sherilyn. Yeah, I love it. It's a great mug.
CNE.
Got it from Shop Graceland.
Oh, there we go.
Canadian
Canadian
National
National
Exhibition.
Exhibition.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Jackson 5. Yeah, I saw them at Disneyland before they got big. You know, Michael was just a little kid. They used to play at Disneyland. I grew up in Los Angeles. Saw them, saw the Osmonds,
Mm.
um, Carpenters, all before they
Tom Petty, I think, played.
need coffee too, Rick, at 7 a.m. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. I usually drink iced coffee, but I decided I was going to have some hot coffee this morning. It's actually keeping me awake. I've been working. So, for those of you who have been following, I'm talking about this earlier. So, for those of you who've been following my box set review, so last night I was gonna last night I was choosing the songs I was gonna do next, and I was going through them. What are you doing?
uh, I've got my little drink in.
You know how loud that is when you pop it.
I'm sorry, but
That's all right. I just didn't know if you realized that. But I mean, I I'm not complaining. I'm just didn't know if you knew. But the um, the songs I was going through. I wasn't going to put it out till tomorrow, but I got so excited about some of the stuff I found on it. You know,
mm,
it's like wow. You know, the stuff that they let through for 4-time Grammy award winning, you know. Tracy. Hi guys, same as you, Rick. Saw Bruce on the Born in the USA tour twice. Fabulous experience. I also went to lots of concerts back in the day. Bowie, Stones. I never saw Bowie. I saw the Stones. I saw Bruce. Luther. I'd love to have seen Luther. John Denver. I had tickets 3 rows from the stage, and my wife went into labor with my daughter.
Ugh.
Tina Turner, saw her with Lionel Richie. And I never saw Sinatra. It would have been nice to see Sinatra.
I could safely say I have never seen any of those people, and
Well, I think probably most of Sinatra. I think was probably gone before you were around.
Yeah,
Bruce Springsteen.
Bruce Springsteen is still
I wouldn't go
around.
see Bruce now. I don't like his new. I don't like his new stuff. I'm not into the political. When they start getting political, I just don't like politics
The best
being played.
concert I ever saw.
Songwriting, it's fine.
Yeah.
Write good songs, but when they speak out and all that, I just
Mm,
anyway, it's their business. They can do what they
yeah.
want to do.
The best concert I ever saw was Kiss.
Yeah, best concert I ever saw was Elvis.
Yeah.
Has to be. But John Mellencamp. If you never seen Denise saw Tina Turner twice, she's good. She was better than Lionel Richie as far as I'm concerned.
Was it like a co-headliner type of deal, or was it
What's
like
that?
one was up? Was that a co-headliner type of deal, or was one opening up for the other, or was it
Yeah, she opened up for Lionel. It was
Tina
when
Turner? Oh,
she was just coming back.
oh right, yeah, yeah,
She just come out and with What's Love Got to Do with It, and she was just resurging. So she was touring as an opening act. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I was there for Tina.
yeah,
I like Lionel, but I liked him better with the Commodores than I did by
by himself.
himself. But it was a good show. First,
Hey Joe, hey you.
Denise says she's seen Paul McCartney. Where are
I'm
you?
going to see Paul McCartney.
Tracy. First concert was the Osmonds, October '73. Wow, fell in love with live shows. Yeah, my first show was the Monkees, and I don't remember anything because all I heard was screaming and yelling the whole time. It was was it the Hollywood Bowl, 67, 68, somewhere around there.
Kind of
Uh,
like Beatles type of
yeah.
deal.
And my cousin wanted me to go as a chaperone to when he took his girl date to see the Beatles because her father said she had to have a chaperone, but my parents wouldn't let me go because he saw the Beatles at the Hollywood Bowl. But I wasn't into the Beatles yet. I didn't get into the Beatles till the White Album, and then I started.
First concert was Queen. That is a good first concert.
Fantastic Audacity reviews you've been filming, Rick. Thank you, Helena. I You're gonna like my next one. I'm gonna surprise a few. I mean, if you haven't seen the Any Day one now, this is even better. Um, I got so excited. I wound up working on it all night with it. I'm finding some good songs in there, but this is the only way you can. How I'm doing is the only way you can actually compare them. The
Mm.
way I do it. So thank
Queen.
you. I appreciate that, Helene. I'm glad you're enjoying them.
Queen is a very good first concert.
I never
Joe just
saw.
posted.
I never saw Queen.
Oh,
Um,
wait.
let's see.
Joe's Queen.
Kanye, I regret not seeing Mellencamp. Mellencamp too is one of those. It's gotten to the point where he's just too political for me. I like his folk. I like his albums, but he gets political on stage, and I go there to see. I don't get him. I don't go there to. But I saw the last time I saw him was actually the last concert I was able to go see was I have to say 2009. It was before I left Connecticut, and it was him and John Fogerty. John Fogerty opened up the show, and Mellencamp came out and sang a song with Fogerty, and then when Mellencamp was on, Fogerty came out and sang a song with Mellencamp. It was pretty cool. Of course, I'm big fans of both of them. Joe, hello, hello. Hi, Susie. It's okay. How are you? Nice to see you. Gene,
Let's
My
see.
parents went to see Sinatra at the Chicago Theater Dress. I really wish I could have seen Sinatra. Um, there was he came into town in St. Louis, I think it was, and he was with Liza Minnelli. And somebody asked me if I wanted to go, and I couldn't go. I had to work that night, and I kind of wish I got. But I did see Liza Minnelli at a benefit show later, and of course that's something I really want to brag about today, given what's happened with him. But she opened up for Bill Cosby, or I didn't say opened up. She was one of the acts. They were doing a benefit show.
Mm.
So, and I was a Bill Cosby fan, and I liked all of his early comedy records. I still have them, but given his history now,
Saw the Corridors back in the early 80s. My mum saw the Beatles while pregnant. Oh.
yeah. Joe's first concert was Queen. I like to sing Queen. I didn't really get into Queen till after Freddie died, though. Well, I take that back. I had the News of the World, and I had what I can't remember the name of the album that Bohemian Rhapsody was on.
Night of the Opera.
Yeah, I had both of those albums, and
Mm.
then when I got the box set when it came out of all their stuff.
Yeah.
Rolling Stones, I saw them at the Georgia Dome. They the Georgia Dome. I'll never forget this. So a friend of mine had tickets for Stones, and the Georgia Dome seats like 60,000, 50,000 people, maybe less. For a concert, I think it's like 50,000. But our seats were like at the opposite end of the stage, right? So they come out and they have those big old pyrotechnics like that, and
Yeah.
the second that thing goes up, all of a sudden I feel this whoosh,
Just
this
like go back.
rush of heat. Like, oh my god! And it was a good concert. I had a blast. They were
I
good.
was. It was the same. It was the same when Kiss. With
I
them.
agree. I agree, Tracy. Yeah, and he was wise. He kept his views to himself. But also too, everybody's got their right to put their views. But I'm not going to pay. Oh my God, the price of tickets today. Did you, Taylor Swift tickets are like holy moly. I saw Elvis when we saw him in Vegas. We paid $25, but we got a steak dinner with it and drinks. And then when we saw him at the Forum, they were $10 a ticket. At the Omni, they were $10 a ticket. Give inflation, those are probably what, $30, maybe $40 today. You can't
Mm.
you can't get a beer at a concert anymore for $40 almost. Sue, did you see the live video of Elvis Memphis on YouTube to produce? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I shook my head a lot. They're really promoting it, weren't they? Um, I gotta tell you, I spent a lot of time in recording studios, just working with engineers and all that. And I just don't understand. My last video, I talked about QA, quality assurance, and every job I've ever had, as far as back as when I was come out of school, I worked in one company that they manufactured, floppy disks and all that, and they had everything that came in. They had to go through QA, and if they had more than 5 or 6% that were defective, the whole shipment went back. And then at the hotel, I worked for Ritz Carlton and Marriott, where they have 4 or 5 star and diamond hotels, and they have a quality assurance program.
Mm.
Everything's got. What happened to quality assurance with companies today? They just don't do it anymore. How can you let any day now be spliced right in the middle of a phrase and let it continue? And then when you hear what I've got to do on this next one, you're going to say, I don't believe. Why did they even put on? I understand it's a set of Memphis songs. There's nothing they could do with the Sun sessions because they can't do anything with them but turn up the volume and throw echo on it
Yeah.
because it's all recorded in one track. It's all stereo. It's all mono. But what they did to the American Sound Studios, now I've found some really good ones, good songs that were produced that off the Stack sessions, and then off of the Jungle Room sessions. Solitaire is great. Bitter They Are. I mean, those. So at the end of each one of my videos now, I've got my good list and I got my bad list. And every time
Yeah.
I come, I'm adding it to the list. And I'm telling you right now, it's 50-50. That sucks for QA. You in a $70 box set when half of the stuff is bad, what are they trying to push? I don't understand it.
The
I'm
Stax
sorry. I'm
ones,
sorry. I'm going off.
I like.
Sherry Lynn, only Elvis, Dean Martin, Al Jolson, Mahalia Jackson. My dad loved Mahalia Jackson. Are the ones I can listen to live or studio always. The others 90% of the time only studio. BB King always live. I got to see BB King one time. He was good. My first concert was I'd like to have seen her. I'd love. What's that song? I honestly love you. I would love to have heard Elvis sing I honestly love you. I think that
Mm.
he would have nailed that one. Um, oh, hello. I saw Bonnie and Cher in Cleveland. Is that Claire? I'm trying to remember your first name. I saw Sonny. I imagine it's Sonny and
Furniture?
Cher
Yeah.
in 1960. It was a show at Fairground. It cost almost nothing. Not a very large crowd.
Well, they hadn't made it, I don't think, that big at that time. I don't think.
Oh, they were big in the 60s.
Oh, you were?
Oh
Alright.
yeah, that's where they hit it.
I thought they were big in like the
I watched
70s.
that too, Susie. Helene, did you find another gem of failure on there? Can't wait. Yeah, I did. You're gonna you're gonna love it. It's just, I'm baffled why they did what they did, and they did it to the whole song. They just didn't do it to a section.
They didn't do the whole thing.
They did it to the whole song from an American Sound. I can't say no more.
That's the weakest, I think that's the weakest disc on the box set, I think.
Oh yeah, I saw an interview, a review from one guy said that they need to just issue everybody the second disc
Yeah.
because there's something wrong with everyone. Now, there's one song off that I review that I really like what they did with it as far as going undubbed. It's still not better than the original, but it is it's more relaxed and it's not screwed up. It's just undubbed.
Different, yeah.
Anita, yes, the Monkees wasn't a real group in the beginning, wasn't they? Just go filming. Yes, they were just actors at first, but though Davey was a
They was an
singer,
actor.
Michael Nesmith was the only musician. He'd been in
Yeah.
bands for years, wrote songs. Michael Nesmith was writing songs. He wrote songs for Linda Ronstadt. He wrote the song "A Different Drum." You and I travel to that song. He wrote that song, and he wrote a lot of others. He just passed away not long ago. But Michael Nesmith, he was the one who he created the very first music video, and he also his mother was the one that discovered liquid paper.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fun fact.
but then they all learned their instruments and
Have you seen his drum setup?
huh?
Dolan's drum setup. Have you seen it? It is.
Yeah,
It is trippy
yeah.
because
But I
he's a
tell you
left-hander.
what, that man still has a voice.
Yeah.
At 70 some years old,
Mm.
he can still hit those notes, man. He had the best voice in the group.
Yeah.
You know
I
what?
don't know why he wasn't out front. To be fair.
Mary, Mary. I love that song. And when he hits those high notes, Mary, Mary. Oh, sorry, guys, I'm off key. Sue, they, they were just justifying the edits. They didn't agree with everything they said, but I guess. Um, I have a friend up in Connecticut that I met when I went up there to work for the Marriott, a management company that had Marriott's, and he was one of the engineers there at the property for quality assurance for the building being. But he's also one of the number one designers of recording studios. He designed Sonolist in Connecticut that where the Stones and Aerosmith recorded, and they also do movies productions there. And he also had very first class number one studios like in the Philippines, all over the world. Him and I are really close friends. He wrote a book for people who want to build a home studio. He signed a copy and gave it to me. This man, he would rip Matt Rossbang to pieces if he heard this stuff because he
Is he still
doesn't
with
put
us?
up. And I tell you, huh?
Is he still with us, or is he passed away now?
Who, Rod? No, no, he's still with us.
Okay.
I mean, fortunately, he's gone through some health issues, but Rod's probably 10 years older than I am. And
Mm.
him and I are like, like he used to come out and see me play all the time when I was gigging, and just me, and he'd come out there and sometimes he'd sing a little harmony with me. But I'll tell you what, he's outside of Ronnie Tutt and people that are, that are big stars. Personally knowing, he's the best drummer I ever physically knew. I never heard anybody that could hit
Play
the
like it.
hit that bass drum in. Oh my God, he was good. He is good. Anyway, you're right, Sue. I digress.
Hey Rick, I've got
Yeah,
an idea.
sure. Anita, they did do a concert tour before the show ended, and then again years later. Yeah, they did. They. I got to tell you something. I think they should still be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You know, they they had some great hits. I mean, they were the ones that were singing those hits. They may not have played the instruments, but they were the ones singing. And they developed into a band. And there's some people in the Hall of Fame that should not be in there. I
Yeah.
mean, they stuck Millie Vanilli in there, and though they didn't know that they lip synced, enough said. Um, Tracy saw the Commodores back in the early '80s. My mom saw the Beatles while pregnant with me. Guess it all started then. Yeah, yeah. My mom was pregnant when she went to go with me when she went to go see Jailhouse Rock, and she said she thinks that's why I got into music because of the Jailhouse Rock.
Mm.
Joe, I'm enjoying this conversation. Man, an hour and a half. We still got 12 people. I've seen so many. Elton John, I've seen a few times. George Michael, I never saw him. I liked him. Cher, I don't like her at all, but yeah, it's just me. The Eagles, I've seen them a couple times. They're the second, to me, they're the second best American band ever. Number one's Credence. That's my opinion. So many, but not Elvis, unfortunately. It's, you know, this AI stuff that's coming out. Now, I'm not a fan of all this AI stuff that they do that you find on Facebook, and they're creating all these little videos of Elvis supposedly singing this song. But I support wholeheartedly the opportunity, if it's done right, professionally, and it looks real, to do an Elvis tour in AI and give people who didn't have the opportunity to see Elvis live
What it would be like.
as close of an experience as they can to seeing him live. That tour that they did, where the band toured and they played the
Yeah,
screens up. I saw that in Connecticut. And I was sitting in I wasn't s- I wanted seats further back because I wanted to be able to see the screens, and I wanted the feeling. And when it kicked off with 2001 and went into it, I felt like I was in the Omni. It
and yeah, I was
felt like it. It just felt like I was at the concert
I
because you had the suites, you had JD, this was back when they had almost a full band. Nobody had passed away yet,
mm,
and they had everybody, and it was the closest I could be. So I pray that they do this right, and I know it's been delayed, but I hope they're delaying it because of quality control. They want to get it right, and I
yeah.
pray that they do a world tour. Don't even come to America. Go to where people did not have the chance to see Elvis live,
I saw
and
that
that will be
concert.
the closest thing you will ever have to see him. And at least you get that experience. And I guarantee you, everybody will walk out there with chills and their hair standing up on the end, and whatever would happen.
And I saw that concert too that you was just talking about just now with the screens and stuff.
Say that again. I'm
I
sorry.
saw that concert that you was just talking about with the screens and stuff.
Oh yeah, it was
Yeah, it
good.
was. But when I saw it, a couple of people had already passed away by then. So I think Charlie had gone, and I think JD had gone as well.
I am so far behind. I do. I've got a I've got a memory. I'm very good with numbers, Helene. I don't know if she's still on.
You've
Please
got a
hold on.
photographic memory.
Numbers with numbers. I have a
Yeah.
photographic memory, and with I used to be pretty good with names, but that's getting worse. But the last job I had like three or four cards. I had a debit card and a couple credit cards, and I knew the numbers and everything on them. I knew the expiration dates, the numbers, and the little code on the back by heart of all of them. My wife calls me Rain Man. Okay, guys, have such power in the industry. The glitches of the box set are baffling. You know, the nomination, they're going to announce the nominations for the Grammys in November. And if for some reason he gets nominated for this box set, I will know the whole thing's rigged. It's got to be. You know, as much as I like to see an Elvis product get a Grammy, I
It
would
should
be
be
embarrassed.
like a good one rather than one that's been half-assed.
Solitaire, you're right, Helene. Solitaire was very well. It comes out really good. I loved it. His voices when
Like
they do
crystal
the
clear.
when they do the 2024 version, it's undubbed. His voice is just it sends chills. I listen to these things with my eyes closed. And a lot of times I go like this, and you feel like you're in the room. I've got to skip some of these. I'm Claire. I knew it was Claire from. I was right. I remember the name. I'm getting to the point where here's Sue. I was two when I saw the '68 comeback special. Mom said I stood in front of the TV for an hour, so I guess it started for me. I'm 58 now. I don't remember, of course. Denise, I've got a ticket to see Mark Anthony. I don't know who that is. Elvis
I do.
Presley impersonator. He's an
He's good.
impersonator. Hey Denise, I don't think that AI is happening in November. I think they canceled it till next year, if I'm not mistaken. I may be wrong. Helene, mixed feeling about the upcoming holographic show. I do too, because it's just what I've seen with AI. I just think it's been really bad. But the only thing that I would give a blessing for is if they do it 100% top notch, and just for the ability for people to get that feeling of what it was like to see him in concert. That's it. But everything else, I don't want to see AI movies of Elvis. I don't want to see AI videos of Elvis singing a song he never did. No, thank you. I don't want that stuff. But I agree with you. I've always it's just like with these albums that they're releasing when they remix or remaster. And that's one of the things I'm a little upset about this box set too, is because they call it remixing, and they supposedly didn't add remixing and remastering. I've said this before. There's two different things. Remixing is like the Philharmonic that they did with Elvis. They come in and they bring in new people, new instruments that weren't there at the recording studio. That's remixing.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I'm not a fan of that. They said that this, but then I also read that it was all they did was take out the overdubs and they didn't add anything new. So, for somebody like me that knows the difference, it's kind of misleading. Remastering is they don't add anything new, but what they do is they take it like with the Nashville sessions boxes they did a couple years ago from Elvis in Nashville, that they took the original tracks and tapes, and they made some of the instruments that didn't appear in the original, though were recorded, may be lifted up a little bit. They may move, and a lot of them originals, they had like the bass over here or the drums a little bit over here, where they put the bass of the drums in the center and put the guitar over here, or they might move them around. I like that because all I know is it's the same people that recorded that day in the studio, and that's what I like about it. Is that's coming from you? It's March next. It's in March next year. Okay. Let's see. Apparently, they're finishing the AI experience with a 68 comeback. Oh, and we are the audience and Elvis AI performing. That would be interesting if they
Mm.
do it right. But then, the thing about it is to make it that way. Are they going to AI everybody? Charlie and PJ and Scotty,
Yeah.
or are they just AI and Elvis and
And
putting
we
in
get
with
to
somebody
sit.
else? I don't know. Anyway, as long as they do it 100% top notch, I don't want to see it because I have got the experience. I wouldn't want to go see it, but I want the people that never had the opportunity, that were around when he was around and never got to see him because he never toured. And even anybody else that never got the opportunity, even whether they were alive or not, to have that experience. Because I'm tell you, there ain't nobody alive today that still can compare to what his concerts were back then. I took my daughter to go see Taylor Swift several years ago, 10 years ago, something like that. And I'm not a Taylor Swift fan, but the thing about with her, everything is choreographed.
Yeah.
Everything is down to a T. There's too much computer stuff controlling this and that. And I don't care what they say. She may be singing most of the time live, but I can guarantee you she's lip syncing sometimes. And then to the theatrics, if I saw something on the news where she actually jumps into a pool and swims under stage and comes back up. Elvis, all he had to do was walk out and give the show. He didn't need any of that theatrics, and nobody does that. Who
Elvis was the
Chris
theatrical.
Stapleton's the only person I'd go see right now these days. Where he would have none of that none of that stuff. It was just him out playing. People like that. I saw Toby Keith at one time. Great show. It was just him playing. Anyway, Helene, another one. To get to seat uncomfortably on the edge of this tiny ring, I'd ruin my back so wholeheartedly. Did I
On
miss
the
something?
on the on the 6 day special you're talking about, on
Oh
the
yeah.
tiny little, yeah.
Denise, I blame Colonel Parker for not letting Elvis Presley tour. Well, yeah. Um, the thing about it is Elvis could have overrode him. Elvis was such a loyal person. I think he was a non-combative person when it came to Parker. So I don't know. I wasn't there. I know that Colonel Parker never had to leave this country in order to book a tour. There was no reason for him to have to could leave the country to book a tour. He had Tom Diskin that could go out there and sign the contracts.
Yeah.
He had Tom Hewlett that could arrange the tour. He never had to leave. He never had to step foot out of Tennessee or wherever he was at to book it. So, I think my personal feeling is it had nothing to do with him being, being illegal. I think it had to do with the fact that I think he thinks that once Elvis stepped out of this country, started touring, that was it for him and Elvis. I think he felt like he would have lost Elvis at that point. But once again, anyway, nothing we can do about it. It happened. I can't. So. Well, you know what? I'm gonna get ready to wind it down. It's been an hour and a half. Wow, I gotta try to get some rest here. I'm gonna do this again at I forget what time. 2:30? Am I doing it again at 2:30? Wow, it's 8:30 now. Yeah, thank you, Joe. Yeah, I don't know. I once again I said it earlier. I give Colonel the credit for making Elvis who he was in the '50s, making him the big name and creating the person he is. But he made some really bad mistakes and made some good deals.
Mm.
Elvis Riley and those that are receiving the 15% still from EPE are benefiting from those publishing rights that Parker had 50%. You know, that was a deal that it was a genius deal. All right. Well, Carolyn, Helene, Joe, Denise, Anita, everybody that stayed and hung around, I really do appreciate it. I enjoy this. Now, remember again about me starting the chats and meeting Elvis fans from around the world. So I gave you my email. My email is in my YouTube channels about, about me or the channel. It's in there. So email me if you're interested. I'll start coordinating and we'll start doing it. It'll probably start off slow with attendance, but once it gets going and people hear about it, I think we can build up a nice little series. I think it'd be kind of cool. I'd like to do that and some other things. Plus, I got some great videos coming out. So, everybody, I appreciate everybody. Dylan, thanks for popping in.
Thank you.
I
Been
appreciate
fun.
sorry that we couldn't have carried on with some more rock and roll rock band discussions, but you know, we could do that forever. You and I, we could talk about
Oh, yeah,
rock
yeah, yeah.
bands and concerts and everything else. Everybody, have a great one. Have a great day. Enjoy the videos and all that. That's memorializing.
Memorializer?
Why can't I say that word? Keep it in your memory, Elvis's this day.
Memorial.
So, anyways, I'm signing off. Bye, everybody, and see you real soon.
Bye.
I'll be back on this afternoon, so if you guys are around and want to pop in again, I'll be here. I think it's at 2:30 my time, so that's
7:30
7:30
my.
your time,
Yeah.
and 8:30 Central Europe, and probably too late for Australia. But I did this morning, so we can. I'm trying to connect up Australia more. I think they get kind of cheated out of time sometimes. So, and I can do it at any time. I can do it at 4 in the morning. No, don't tell anybody. All right, guys, have a good one. Appreciate it. I appreciate all your support for my channel. I appreciate all you subscribe. Thank you very much. Have a good one.